All right. No intro music, no nothing. We have a rocket launch to start the stream. SpaceX is launching Intelsat G31, G32. Rare, and it makes me very proud to say this, it is a rare expendable Falcon 9. Yo, what's up, man? Getting this off my mobile app, right on. Yeah, here, check this out. An expendable Falcon 9, huh?
Transporter erector retract. And that's where the TE will begin to slightly back away from the stage to clear the way for liftoff at T-0 hydraulic systems. There's a call out there for strong back retract.
Hey, Paul, thanks for the bits, dude.
At
5 years,
T-0,
man.
the hydraulic systems will actually pull the TE further away, clearing the way further for Falcon 9's liftoff. And you can see there the TE making a small angle with the first stage.
Yeah, it hurts, Max. I think
you also may have heard some call-outs there that we've begun pressurizing the stage in preparation for TE retract.
I gotta start wearing shoes, dude. It's like if this is my foot, right? The toes like right here. The meat on the back, like where the tendons are that connect to your Achilles heel. Yeah, that hurt. It hurts. Yeah, it hurts. I think I wrecked something, but I would, for the time before I did that, I was actually doing okay. I was doing all right, and then I couldn't brake, and I tried to 1 foot brake, and it didn't work, dude.
Uses rocket propellant 1 as its fuel and liquid oxygen as its oxidizer. An oxidizer.
I'll get paddle. I'll find something, dude. If anything, I can use the clown shoes.
Below its boiling point. That allows us to load more mass per volume into the vehicle and get more propellant and performance out of the rocket. Now, in addition to both the RP1 and liquid oxygen, we use a chemical called TTEB, triethyl aluminum and triethyl borane, as an ignition source. When we combine those two chemicals, they they produce a hot flame and ignite the RP1 and liquid oxygen to make the rocket
go. Prime subs, deploy the prime subs.
Coming up, we're about 10 seconds away from liquid oxygen loading complete on the second stage. With that call out, we will be completely loaded with propellants for flight.
So this is, I mean, Puzzle, you just said it in chat. This is booster 1051. It's one of the earliest Falcon 9 Block 5s. And it's gonna get a Viking funeral here. Dudes, there's no landing legs, no grid fins. Look, she's naked. It's weird.
Both the payloads continuing to look healthy. Weather 90% go. It's a beautiful day at Florida today for that on-time liftoff. There you can see on this wide angle.
We got to fast forward. Prepare to fast forward. Preparing to fast forward. Fast forward, sir. 14 on this core. Yeah. Yeah, it looks weird, man. That'll do. 1051. That'll do. Jeez, how far behind were we? Oh, there we go. Nice. Perfect. All right.
Intelsat Galaxy 31 and 32 to orbit.
This has 2 satellites stacked on top of each other that are going to a super synchronous insertion, which is actually really, really interesting stuff.
15 seconds.
They shoot the apogee way past geostationary transfer
orbit. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2,
green flash.
1. And liftoff of Intelsat Galaxy 31 and 32. Go Falcon 9.
The bird! There's a bird right... Oh!
Vehicle's pitching downrange.
Alright.
M1D chamber pressure nominal.
Hey, out of the clouds.
Successful liftoff of Falcon 9 from Space Launch Complex 40 at the Cape Canaveral.
I love how there's marks where the grid fins And the landing legs were? There's straight up marks. See that?
Just begun throttling down the
That's weird.
engines in preparation for maximum dynamic pressure. And we've also begun to tilt the engines. That's called gimbaling, and that's why we've begun to move horizontally away from the launch pad. That maneuver is called a gravity turn.
Max Q.
So call out there for max Q. That's the point of maximum aerodynamic pressure. Now briefly going back to the gravity turn, we are still heading up. As you can see, the speed and altitude are increasing, but we're also heading away from the launch pad. And we do that because a rocket needs to go about 17,500 miles an hour horizontally in order to avoid being pulled back to planet Earth. So we'll keep speeding up the vehicle to get to orbit. Now coming up in about a minute, we've got 3 events back to back. That is main engine cutoff, followed by stage separation, and then second engine start number 1. Main engine cutoff is where we'll shut down all 9 of the Merlin 1D engines on the first stage.
It's interesting, drummer. Which SpaceX customers still demand fresh cores? Pretty much no one. In fact, like the people that the insurance companies that insure these launches, dude, actually on paper they prefer flight proven. Seriously, the price, the insuring a payload on a reused Falcon 9 actually drops the insurance premium. Isn't that nuts? That's actually dude. That would be a foreign concept even like 10 years ago. Exactly, Phil. Yeah, it's weird how it's switched. Exactly. They fly new boosters on Starlink missions. All the customers.
Stage separation confirmed. Vac ignition. Stage 1 FTS is safe.
That's pretty fast, Forge. Yeah.
Awesome. So MECO, stage sep, and second engine start complete.
Adios.
Now coming up next in about 20 or so seconds will be fairing separation. Again, both of these fairing halves having flown 5 times before today's mission.
Interesting, Forge. Is the grid fins and legs the only thing they can take off, or can they take anything else off?
Some great views of planet Earth behind the Merlin vacuum engine.
What else would they take off, goalie? Fairing separation.
Fairing separation confirmed.
So there is successful fairing separation. We'll be attempting to recover those fairing halves again once they make their way back to Earth on a recovery vessel named Bob.
Acquisition of signal.
You can actually see one of the fairing halves in frame there as it goes back to planet Earth. We actually got our first glimpse of the payload as well today. As a reminder, we are not attempting landing on our first stage. So the next major milestone will be second engine cutoff number 1. That's about 4 minutes from now.
Could you put Atlas-style SRBs on a Falcon 9? Makadra, you could do anything if you do enough analysis and development. In terms of like just being able to straight attach, no. Yeah, that would crush the RP1 tank. Like, maybe if they found a way to make an SRB that was long enough to attach to the common bulkhead, like to the area around the common bulkhead between the LOX and RP1 tank on Falcon 9, because that's where the structure is. The common bulkhead has a lot of structure in it. There's some solid oxygen right there. There's more solid oxygen. No, Zelda, this one needed to be expended. Watch the speed. This is a super synchronous insertion. Watch the speed.
First burn, the Merlin vacuum engine is continuing to burn and take the second stage and the payloads to orbit.
The way it carries load, I mean, it might work.
The Merlin vacuum engine
maybe.
is extremely similar to the Merlin 1D engines.
Why do that when you could just attach 2 Falcon 9s to the side, though?
Larger expansion nozzle, and that allows us to maximize the efficiency of the burn in space. And the reason that expansion nozzle makes the burn more efficient is because we're able to expand the gases further in the vacuum of space than we are on the ground. On the ground, we've got about 14 pounds per square inch of pressure from the atmosphere pushing down on us. And so as you try to expand a gas, you have to keep the pressure matching with that atmospheric pressure. And that means you can't get as much push out of the gas out of the nozzle. But in the vacuum of space, we don't have to contend with that. And so we can actually get more of the force out of the expanding propellant.
2 GM63 XLs, like Vulcan's boosters on the side of Falcon 9, would give it a really, really hefty punch. In fact, you know what would be a really good vehicle? You take a Falcon 9 center core, landing legs, grid fins. You put ULA Centaur 5 on top of that, and then put some GEM63 XLs on top of that, and then Vulcan's fairing on the Centaur 5. And that launch vehicle would be really good. That'd be really, really good. That'd be a very capable little thing. Say, oh my goodness. Moment control gyroscope is 100 grand. Yep, nope, can't afford that.
Now, if you're just joining us, welcome. You're watching our webcast coverage of the Intelsat Galaxy 3132 mission.
That would be good too,
Phenomenal.
Talon, yes.
You've got a view of the
14
second stage
hardscape.
Merlin vacuum engine.
I know, guys, it might be a little bit strange, but this is a very rare occurrence nowadays. They expended the first stage because this is a super synchronous insertion. So the first stage was expended. They, not coming back. 14 flights on that booster, serial number 1051. One of the oldest Falcon 9 cores in the fleet right now. Yeah, the last time a booster was intentionally expended was the IFA. Intentionally expended. Yeah, no supersonic retro propulsion. Yeah. Booster's probably
Stage 2 FTS is
the
safe.
booster's probably still good right now, because of the high insertion, the high energy insertion. Yeah, it's probably good. It's probably got another couple minutes before it just
Expected loss of signal, Cape Canaveral.
really not decides to boost. It's a booster anymore.
MVAC shutdown.
There is successful confirmation of SECO 1.
Oh,
So now the
26708
teams are going to be
at
evaluating the
164.
orbit
It's a
that we're
parking
in.
orbit.
Make sure that we're right on track.
Nominal orbit insertion.
And with that call out, we are in a nominal orbit. Again, this is the first orbit. It is a parking orbit in preparation for our next event. And since
Ilya, it's 28,000 or no, 27,500. This is a parking orbit. This is low.
about 26 minutes into the
You
mission,
can see the two satellites stacked on top of each
until
other
then,
here.
please enjoy the space tunes and the views from space. We'll
Oh,
see you
I will
back
show
at about
them.
T+26.
28. What is it? 28,500 miles an hour, something like that. That's low Earth orbit in kph. That's pretty quick, man. 17,500 miles an hour. That's fast. That's fast. You want a little bit of an indication of how quick that is. Look at how fast this thing reaches the coast of Africa. Did you see F1 and J2 reuse investigations in prep for SSME development? F1 was actually good for reuse. J2 was even better. What? Maybe you can explain why the flight path they're going is more south and more north after launch. Paul, I'll explain that right now. This is a super synchronous insertion, dude. Hey, Ozzy. This is a super synchronous insertion. So you'll see here at SES2 and SECO2, this speed is going up. They're going way up there on the speed. The super sync insertion is, all right, here. Give me 1 second. Check this out. Look what's back. Our old friend. So check this out. This is stuffin.space. Actually, it's sky.rogue.space now, but stuffin.space is still a thing. Check it out. So this is kind of a representation of where everything is around the Earth, right? Right now, Falcon 9 is in a parking orbit. That's the parking orbits are way down here, like below Starlink satellites. Like if we were looking right here, that's another Starlink. Parking orbit is super low. Falcon 9 is going to shoot this thing into a super synchronous orbit, and the super synchronous orbit will actually we go down here, we can see some old Falcon rocket bodies here from past missions that haven't deorbited yet. No, that's not one. That's a super synchronous insertion right there. See how there's this kind of ring of satellites? That's geostationary and geosynchronous, right? That's where the satellites are supposed to go. These Falcon 9s are shooting past that. They're going up here. The reason why they do that is because and this is kind of the reason why it's launching in that direction, Paul. The reason why they do that is because they want an inclination where they could get the apogee to a point where the satellites can actually do the burn out here. If the satellites burn out here, as opposed to here, or just a geostationary transfer, which is like one of these guys right here. The reason why they do this is because actually it helps you with delta V. You actually if the rocket uses more of its delta V to actually push the payload past where it needs to go, you're actually more efficient that way. The reason why you're more efficient is because when the satellites go to execute their burns, their orbital speed is lower. The further your apogee is away from Earth, or the further an apoapsis is away from a celestial body, this works for every planet, every celestial body, anything that you can orbit around. The further you are away, the less delta V is going to be required to change orbital parameters. So these satellites have extremely efficient propulsion systems. I think these ones are SEP, solar electric. Either that or they're just really tiny rocket motors. Either way, if they're using solar electric or what, those are really, 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 really high impulse, high specific impulse, low TWR, right? They're just station keeping satellites to keep them in the right spot. So think of it like just if an oil rig is trying to stay centered over an oil well in the water, it has little azimuth thrusters that just kind of keep it in place. Same idea with the satellite. So they shoot these out here, and if they're further away from Earth, you're actually more efficient. It'll take less delta V to circularize up here and then change the inclination. That's the big one. And then recircularize at a lower altitude. That's less delta V than just shooting it straight to apogee right here and having the satellites try to circularize. You can do this stuff in Kerbal. Super synchronous insertion. That's absolutely a thing. The super sync insertion could also be called, it's a bielliptical transfer orbit. So it's two Hohmann transfers stacked on top of each other. So Falcon 9 will insert into an orbit with an apogee way past geosynchronous, and this is why they needed to expend the core, because they needed that extra delta V to push those satellites up, right? They'll go way past, and then it'll separate the sats. Sats will float out here, and then they'll fire their engines out here where their orbital speed is very, very low. Like out here, like down here, you're going 17,500 miles an hour. Up there, it's maybe 1,000 miles an hour. There's not as much gravity to combat. Your orbital speed will stay high if you know what you're doing. So they do a smaller burn out here, right? And they'll circularize with the perigee at geosynchronous, and then they'll go around again, and then they'll do another retro burn over here and lower the apogee to circularize. It's a bielliptical transfer orbit. It's double Hohmann transfer. It's actually more efficient. More efficient. Lower energy transfer. Really, 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 really interesting stuff. That's why they expended the core, and that's the other reason why... where's the webcast? That's the other reason why Falcon 9... that's mission control audio. Boop. Come on now. That's the other reason why they chose this inclination. In order to get at a super synchronous insertion, you need to launch due east out of Florida. Bingo, Orion. That's the big one. Your inclination change. It also lowers the setup time for the satellite, not just a mass thing. Oh, okay, drummer. Last if you can. ¿Qué es esto? ¿Qué? ¿Dónde está la biblioteca, Natch? I need to know. Natch, you did an all-nighter yesterday. I saw a meteorite or a satellite re-enter the atmosphere. It was so cool. It had a tail all across the night sky. So if you see a meteor, dude, a meteor will zip across the sky really quick and then it'll pop. It'll just zip really, really like fast across the sky. If you see a satellite or debris re-entering, it'll look like a streak going across the sky. Big difference. So if you saw something that went all the way across the sky and it was just a nice bright streak, like almost like a comet, something was re-entering. Yeah, the X-37B landed last night. Yep. Yeah, there you go. Yeah, not like a comet. Yeah, I know it's not exactly like a comet, Jim. I know because when I said it's kind of like a comet, that means it's not exactly like a comet. You know, English might be hard for you. I know. You frickin' guy. Yeah, Paul, no problem. The sonic boom woke you up last night, goalie? The boom. Oh, yep. So, once again, you want to know how fast orbital speed is? This is a parking orbit. This is about as fast, well, actually, it's about as fast as you're going to get. The further away, the orbits get lower. So the points are still here. Yeah, somebody enabled channel points, didn't tell me how to use it, and then did a poll and didn't tell me how to use that either. I literally have no idea what's going on. So... this is great. Yeah, just, you know, I like something on the stream that I don't have any control over because I don't know how to use it. That's good. I'm sure that's great. That won't get out of hand at all. Well, I told you how to turn them off. Oh yeah, you told me how to turn the damn channel points off. Yeah. Look, 20 minutes from Florida to Senegal. Actually, Senegal's a little up there, but hey, whatever. It's close enough. Pretty cool, huh? I'm sorry, the mouse is being weird. Steven Senegal. Yep. Some days it takes longer to get from Braintree to Quincy, am I right? Why would you even bring that up? Why would you even bring that up? Why? Why would you even bring that up? Why? Hey, Sun Temple, what's going on? Because traffic stinks and I hate it. Why, man? Tic Tac. Did you see what happened yesterday with Leclerc in qualifying? It's the Hasterplan, Paul. The Hasterplan. I told you. Is that photo real? No. Magnuson watches the stream. My boat. Huh. Interesting demo. Oh yeah, I see it rolling. Well, it's apparently snowing in Ohio. Always has been. Wait. I don't know, man. It's 71 degrees here. $71 degrees, baby. Yep. It's nice. I'm out in shorts today.
Discovery, going
20C, Laserman. It's 20C in the middle of November. That's not normal. That's I mean, I know that's probably not good, but also at the same time, I'm not complaining either. You know, like, that sounds good to me, man. It's 45 in Buff right now, but it was 75 all last week. Yeah. Yeah. I missed the launch. Did it land? Nope. Suspended. We're waiting on the insertion and deployment of 3132 right now. Minus 20C. Screw you all in your hot weather. 12 in Denmark. 9 where you are, Laserman. It's always 20 here. That's what my thermostat says. It's 9 Aussie. Jeez. Yeah, it's up. There was the acquisition.
Signal, go on.
See? $5:30 a.m. and it's 15 in New Zealand. Well, yeah, it's springtime. Springtime for you. When's the last time SpaceX expended a booster? Well, the last time a Falcon 9 expended a booster was the in-flight abort. The last time a Falcon class of rocket expended a booster was the Falcon Heavy Center Core on SF-44. How many vehicles remain for your launch fleet? Well, we got the shuttle-derived vehicle ready to go. We got the shuttles ready to go. MLV has been ready for a long time. That's been ready to go. Yep. Engine chill down is beginning right now, so thermal conditioning on the motor. That's what those vents are. They're pumping cold propellants into the motor to get it cooled down to the correct temperature for firing, because Falcon 9 is a semi-cryogenic. It uses semi-cryogenic propellants, liquid oxygen. So they're putting liquid oxygen and RP1 into the motor, basically priming it and getting it to the right operating temperature. How many shuttles will you have in your fleet? I don't know. 4? Nice round number. So Talon, what we basically got to do is make a capsule. Make the capsule, and then we should be good to go. We got to start messing with it. Will you show the SDLV later? Yeah, sure.
Welcome back to our webcast.
All right, here we go.
Of the Falcon 9 mission carrying the Galaxy 31 and 32 satellites for our customer Intelsat. Now, we've had a normal mission so far. Falcon 9 launched on time at 11:06 a.m. Eastern Time from Space Launch Complex 40. Now, and after that, the second stage completed its first burn, taking our payload into its initial parking orbit. Now, at this point, we are just under a minute away from second ignition of the Merlin vacuum engine, which will carry the second stage and the Galaxy 31 and 32 payloads into the targeted geostationary transfer orbit. That'll be the payload deploy orbit.
Stand by for SES-2.
Vac ignition.
Looks good.
There is successful startup of the Merlin vacuum engine. Now, this burn will last just a little bit over a minute. And I mentioned that we're going to a geostationary transfer orbit. So to the first orbit that we put the payloads into today is called a parking orbit. That was a slightly elliptical
14,
orbit.
short line.
But now we're taking the apogee, that's the highest point of the orbit, all the way up to about 38,000 kilometers above the Earth's surface.
23,500 miles.
That's like a huge number. As a point of context, the entire circumference of the Earth is about 40,000 kilometers. So we're taking the stage about as high up as it is to go around the Earth.
Now,
the payloads are still attached to the stage at this point, so they're coming along for the ride. And once we are in this highly elliptical orbit around our planet,
no, the beeping is the cast,
we will
dudes.
transition into payload separation.
Okay. There's Seco right
There's
there.
successful shutdown of the Merlin vacuum engine. We're going to take a look at the orbital parameters with the ground team.
Stand by
Nominal orbit insertion.
for the NOI. There we go.
And so with that nominal orbit, as I mentioned, the Galaxy 31 and 32 satellites are still attached to Falcon 9's second stage. Payload deployment will begin in about 5 minutes. First, we'll be starting with the Galaxy 32 satellite, followed by Galaxy 31 about 5 minutes after that. So while we wait, we're going to jump back into a coast phase. So hopefully enjoy the views when we get them back and enjoy the space tunes.
Should be getting an AOS through Diego Garcia here. Nah, Endo. Didn't land. Expended core. Rare occurrence, huh? Yeah. That's why, dude, you know what's messed up? That's the reason why I wanted to cover this launch. Why I really wanted to cover this launch. I made sure I got up for it because it's a very rare occurrence. Like, okay, so think about what I'm about to say. It's a very rare occurrence that a Falcon 9 first stage gets expended. That is more rare than one landing nowadays. When did that happen? Jeez. It was expended because it's a super synchronous insertion, Jax. They're pushing the satellites way further than geostationary transfer. Super sync insertion to make the satellite, give the satellites a little more Delta V, a little bit more fuel. They're basically using more of the first and second stages Delta V to get the satellites into an orbit that takes them, that that takes them less delta V to get into their final orbit, so that the satellite's life actually, the shelf life on the satellite lasts a lot longer. Core. Is it really that cost efficient to reuse your first stage engine on the second stage engine with a vacuum version? You would have to modify the turbine machinery to handle the increased pressure drop over the cooling jacket. You would need more powerful pumps with higher discharge pressure, more turbines to power those, higher mass flow to the turbine so they can be powered, etc., etc.
Acquisition of signal, hard to be stock.
I mean, you would need all that stuff, JM, but I find it kind of weird that you say that it's, you know, is it really that much? Is it really that more cost effective? But also, yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and say it's cost effective. Anything is cost effective if you employ it in scale with rockets. No, at this point, dude, the Merlin vacuum engine is so different than the Merlin 1D that they're not really even the same motor anymore. There was a time when this was just a Merlin 1D literally with a vacuum on it, but they did end up changing a lot of things over time to the point that they're made on different assembly lines. Space Force released an image of the new X-37B service module. They censored this out on the launch photos. What's the fleet leader right now? I'm not sure. This was up there though, Katra. Yep. Interesting.
Welcome back.
I'm
If you're just
surprised.
joining
I'm
us,
surprised they
welcome to our
showed that.
webcast coverage for Intelsat's Galaxy 31 and 32 mission. We had an on-time liftoff at 11:06 a.m. Eastern Time, followed by successful ascent, stage separation, and 2 second stage engine burns. As a reminder, today's launch continues Intelsat's Galaxy Fleet refresh plan. Intelsat has the most extensive space and ground network combined worldwide, with over 50 satellites, 60 teleports, and point of presence on the ground, as well as 100,000 miles of fiber. Now we're coming up shortly, about 10 seconds to go before deployment of the first of our 2 payloads aboard today.
Satellites are stacked on top of each other. The top one's gonna go. Ready?
Confirmed separation on first payload.
And there is successful separation
that,
of the Galaxy 32 satellite. So it's going to make its way on to this geostationary transfer orbit and then continue with some burns to get into its operational orbit later on in the mission. And we are going to jump back to another short coast phase before the second and final deployment of today's mission of the Galaxy 31 payload. That's scheduled to happen in about 5 minutes. So we'll see you back here at T+38.
I know how that is with a guy. I may have turned off his alarm in my sleep, Maslin. You never know. Lots of sparkly stuff came up? Nah, Jim, those are stars. God. No, yeah, I'm not sure. It must be some insulated foil or something. I don't know what all that stuff is, but
Discovery, go at throttle up.
so with a delay in separation, how much does this change the orbit?
Discovery, go at throttle up.
Whatever the imparted force of the decoupler pushing on the second stage in payload, so like maybe less than like a millimeter a second or something. Maybe a centimeter a second, delta V or something. Like nothing. Really not a lot. Hey Chronos, 18-month resub. About 2 minutes till deploy on the second satellite here. Great views.
Acquisition of signal Maldives.
We have an AOS through the Maldives. The Maldives. They should get one from Diego Garcia here soon. Goalie, the orbit's changing a little bit. We're seeing some impulse firings from the attitude control systems on the second stage. That's what those flashes are. Not the big one that was constant. The flashes. It looks like they deployed one, and then they're gonna they're turning the second stage around and deploying the other one because yeah, the stage is definitely rotating. See? Do we know which satellite is which? Nope, but there's the other one, see? They deployed one prograde on the prograde vector, and now they seem to be rotating that second stage and deploying the second one facing towards the sun. Interesting. 32 first and now 31, thank you. Yeah, see, there's 32 right there.
Welcome back to our coverage. We're nearing the end of today's mission for our customer Intelsat. Now, about 5 minutes ago, we deployed the Galaxy 32 satellite, and we're awaiting deployment of the second and final payload on today's mission, Galaxy 31, which you can see on your screen there. Payload deploy coming up just under about 10 seconds from now.
Send it. There we go.
Payload 2 separation confirmed.
Look at that little babby.
And there
rocket
is successful
engine.
separation
Little
of the
babby
Galaxy
rocket
31
engine. Cute little
satellite off to continue its mission.
Little babby.
So all of us here at SpaceX want to give a big thank you to our customer Intelsat for entrusting us with today's mission. We also want to thank the Range and the Federal Aviation Administration for their support. And before we sign off, SpaceX observed Veterans Day this past Friday, and we wanted to take this time to thank all of our veterans for their service. Thanks to all of our viewers for tuning in and for your continued support, and we hope you have a wonderful rest of the day and weekend.
What's the stream plan for the rest of the day? Yes. Yes, it is. No, Long Eye, that booster was expended. That was Galaxy 3231 for Intelsat there. Booster was expended. Very rare. Very rare nowadays. Is that a plan? I don't know. So when deploying a sat, does roll orientation of the stage matter? What do you think? Yeah. Yeah. You want to make sure the satellite's antennas. So satellite will have a fixed antenna, right? Because the big antennas aren't deployed yet. So they'll have a short range communications antenna, right? Gotta make sure the antenna's pointed in the right spot. So yeah, absolutely. Keep in mind that's not all satellites. It really depends. How many times was that expended booster used? That was its 14th flight. Or was it its 15th? 14 times. It was 14 times. That was 1051. That was one of the first Block 5 Falcon 9s, actually. Yeah, that was one of the first ones. Okay. Yep. I'd say they got their money's worth out of that thing. I mean, considering that one Intelsat mission right there would have paid for it. It launched 14 times. I'd say yeah. All right, Ozzy. See you, buddy. So, all right. I think this one is just outdated, Killpon. I think newer Falcon 9s will be able to get past 15. All right, dude. So here's what's going on. We got about 10 minutes here till noontime. That's my normal start time. I'm going to take a quick break, dudes. I will be back, and then, I mean, what do you want to do? You want to play? I want to finish up everything with Kerbal, so I do want to play Kerbal today, but I do, we should pop into the Minecraft server for a couple hours. So I think what I'm gonna do is I will come back. We'll play Minecraft for 2 hours, and then we got to jump into KSP. I got to finish stuff. So why aren't they saving last flight boosters for heavy side boosters? I don't understand the question, Driados. I wasn't aware that SpaceX would save it for this or this. It's just really what they have in inventory. Is this a Hunt the Streamer day? I'm not sure, Texas. I just got my bonus, so I'm finally able to build a PC again. Hopefully get into Saturday races again. Sweet. All right. Yeah, I mean they can reconfigure a stage between a side core and a center core, or not a center core. They can retool between Falcon Heavy side boosters and Falcon 9 single stick. Falcon Heavy center cores are not interchangeable with anything else. They're a one-off design. Yeah. So, I mean, I think they just decide to expend a booster. It's kind of on an on-need basis, Triados, I guess. It's not like, I don't think they're trying to save boosters for Falcon Heavy or anything. I think it's just an on-need thing. They can use regular Falcon 9s for heavy side boosters, but the center core